Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. And before we get into it, I just want to draw your attention to that. See? There. Somebody asked me about it. And yes, it is. It's a plastic foot. My wife bought it for me for Christmas. It was just a stocking filler. Now, who knew that a doorbell could cause an economic crisis? But apparently, that's the excuse the Bank of England are giving for what they're calling unusual data. There are big gaps in the data, and so they can't make accurate predictions. And without the accurate predictions, they cannot make the wisest choices. They may do something because they think something's happening, but they're not entirely sure. They're saying it's quite worrying. Now, what they have is a little army that goes around the country knocking on people's doors and saying, could we talk to you for about half an hour, 45 minutes? We want to ask you questions about finances, how you feel about them, what your optimism is, and things like that. They then gather all this information, take it back to the Bank of England, and the boffins of Threadneedle Street work their way through it and come up with data points that they can then use to make informed decisions as to the state of the economy now and what it's looking like it's going to be in the near, medium and long-term futures. That's how they do these things. However, the data isn't coming in at the same rate as it used to come in. You see, before COVID, they would go and do this, knock on the door and come and chat, have a cup of tea, talk things over, and then go on their way. During COVID, of course, that was not possible. They started doing telephone and video conferencing meetings. And again, that was fine, but COVID's over now. It's in the past. It's several years ago now. People's memories, it's just slipping into memory. Now, one of the problems is, of course, since COVID, is that nobody wants to go back into the office. Nobody wants to go out and do that sort of job anymore. And they're saying they just want to do telephone conversation, but sometimes you can't get the read or people are busy. And so these people who are doing this job are saying basically what's happening is they can't go and knock on the door. Well, they can go and knock on doors. There's nothing stopping them. But oftentimes they don't get the doors answered because instead of just hearing a knock at the door and going, open the door, hello, what's happening is people are using their Ring doorbells. They're going on their phone, maybe in the back garden or upstairs or wherever. Yes, who is it? Oh, I'm here from. Oh no, I'm not in at the moment, love. I'm out, and then just pretending they're not there, and so the doors aren't getting knocked, or at least the answers aren't forthcoming from the questions, shall we say? Because people are just going, no thanks. It's much more difficult when you actually open the door and you're looking the person in the eye, and so they're blaming Ring doorbells for this lack of data. They're also, strangely enough, blaming gated communities. People are increasingly wanting to live in gated communities. And you can see why. It's safer. You've got guards and people who won't let, yobs in. It's a much safer, more secure environment in which to live. This is a rise. There are more gated communities setting up in Britain now than at any time in history. If you've got the option, why wouldn't you? You have to pay a bit extra because you've got to pay for guards, but hey, small price to pay for your safety, isn't it? And of course, being there behind the wall of a gated community means that these people can't come up, knock on your door and get your responses. So you have like the affluent aren't being questioned either. And it's becoming problematic. As I say, they can't get the data. The boffins at the bank don't get the data. They cannot possibly make accurate predictions. It's that data loss, if you will, that gap in the data, which could make the difference between an interest rate rise and an interest rate fall. Decisions are made on such things. So what to do? One of the proposals, and I kid you not, one of the proposals by the Bank of England was for the government to make video doorbells illegal. I think they'd face a problem with that one. Number one, people want video doorbells for security. Secondly, the police often ask people if they have video evidence of such a thing happening. They say it helps. And thirdly, it's not the business of the government to tell you what you should and shouldn't have. It's not as though video doorbells are out causing a spate of crime, is it? Far from it, the complete opposite. They help reduce it. And yet the bank thinks if it can get rid of video doorbells, it'll get more complete data. I would suggest the bank looks at other ways of gathering and garnering the data. You know, COVID has changed everything, hasn't it? It certainly changed how work gets done. My sister, for obvious reasons, I won't name her, it's a private individual, but my sister does a in and out office job. Several days in the office, several days out. She meets people on some days, doesn't meet them on other because they're doing the same thing. There's always cover in the office, but oftentimes she's at home. My wife too has done, home working. During the COVID period, she worked almost exclusively from home. And then on her return, she does occasional days now that she'll just sign in from home. And that's absolutely fine. But up and down the country, this is happening. So why should you force people to go out, often in bad weather, to go and knock on a stranger's door? I mean, you don't know who's behind the door. From a security point of view, it's not very safe sending a young woman to a stranger's house, is it? So, you've got to look at these things in the round. Banning a security doorbell is not really the answer, not in the long term, is it? Perhaps if you went around in packs, in pairs, like policemen knocking on doors, that'd be slightly different, certainly safer perhaps. But is it really necessary? Surely you can have websites and say to people, please come in, sign, just spend, half an hour once a month, boom, do this, and get that data. I don't think it's hard. You can maybe build up a rewards scheme. For every, if you do this once a month for a full 12 years, for a full 12 months, we'll send you a voucher, and you can get a £10 Marks and Spencer's voucher or some such. Because not many people are actually going to do it fully for the 12 months, but you'll have enough people attempting it. It will be all right. Why not? It's got to be cheaper than sending some people out knocking on doors at £15 an hour. Who knows? Anyway, let me know what you think. Should we ban doorbells? Should we close down gated communities? Or should the Bank of England come up with a better idea so that it knows what's going on in our economy? And then please, God, tell Rachel Reeves. She hasn't got a Scooby-Doo. Anyway, see that, can't we? Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button if you are yet to subscribe. Very important, helps the channel. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I will speak to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.